Okay, so let's look at creating a document from scratch. Currently I have just a blank, document screen, and you saw from the previous video how I would have gotten this. So once you have that up on the screen, you say, okay, fine, now what do I do? Well, you start typing. I think one of the more popular uses for this would be typing up a normal, business or personal, type letter. And before you even start doing that, we learned in previous videos how we could actually change, the default font and the default margins and paper size and all that. And currently what you're looking at right now is the system is pretty much set up the way it was out of the box. In other words, I haven't made any changes really to the any of the defaults. So therefore, we've got the Calibri 11-point font, and we've got about 1-inch margins and so forth. So if you decided that you wanted to change that just for this particular document, we could do that. So let's just say, for instance, we really don't want to use the Calibri font. We want to use Arial. All right. So before we even start typing, we'll just go back into the Home tab. We'll go up into here. We'll change that to whatever font. In this case, I said we'll do the Arial. All right. And I want to go with about a 14-point font. There we go on that. If I maybe change my mind, I decide maybe I want to go with the 13. Part of the problem is if I go back up here, I don't have 13. So what I can do is if I just click it once up there and get that 14 and become highlighted in that blue, and I just type in 13, all right, hit the Enter key, now I've got 13, see? Because 14 might be just a little bit too big. The other thing I want to do is I want to change the margins, right? So we can actually go back over into the layout, all right? We can go over here to margins, and we can pick one of the preset margins, and let's say we want to go with the 1/2 inch all the way around, which is the narrow. So we do that, and you can see how that changes. Now, I'm going to warn you ahead of time, I don't type, all right? I mean, I type, but I don't know really how to type. In other words, you'll be sitting there for hours waiting for me to get done typing everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in a bunch of gobbledygook here, all right? Just to give you a sense of what you need to do along the way of, in this whole process of creating a letter, okay? So usually in the very beginning, if it's a letter, you probably want to put maybe today's date on it. So I'll do something, I'll type in, let's say 3/1/2025, something like that, all right? Hit the Enter key. It goes down. Now, notice when I do that, it didn't go down just right below the 3/1 there. It actually almost like skipped a line. And the reason for that is that, and you probably saw this in the previous videos, the program will actually put extra spacing after each paragraph. And because I just typed in that 3/1/2025 and hit the Enter key, that line became a paragraph. Well, it's a single line paragraph, but it's still a paragraph. And because it did that, and because it's a paragraph, I should say, it got that extra spacing. So when you see from the top of the blinking cursor to the bottom of the date, that in essence is that 10-point of spacing, I think what it is. It's either 8 or 10, but whatever. It's got that extra spacing in there. Just to see that, if we go over here in the home, all right, and we go over here to the drop down here for the paragraph, all right, you'll see that the spacing after each paragraph is 8 points, and that's what it's set for. So if we were sitting there, so basically it's saying here is that after this paragraph that we get done typing, whatever it is, there'll be 8 point of spacing. If we happen to be on the 3/1 and had gone into here, you'd still see the 8 point there. So what I'm trying to say is that that extra spacing that it gives you as a default, and for the most part, it's a good thing. All right. Once in a while, it's going to work against you, and I'm going to show you how we get around that. So let's just say now we want to put the salutation here. So whoever the person is that we're writing this letter to, I want to put that information next. So we might type in something like Mr. Lurch Adams, all right? And I'll hit my Enter key, and what happens? Well, it gave me that extra spacing, didn't it? So I'm going to show you how we're going to fix that in just a little bit. But for now, we'll say, okay, Mr. Lurch Adams, and we'll type in 1313 Mockingbird Lane, all right? Enter again, and we'll put the address. We'll say it's maybe it's Shadow Lakes. Oh, I just appeared in there. Comma, space, okay, we'll do Hawaii. Or something, whatever we put in there. All right, now, hit the enter key again, and then this is where we would normally type in, you know, Dear Lurch or something, right? So we'll say Dear Lurch, comma, all right, and then enter, and then we do the rest of our letter. We'll do that in just a second. Now, once I've done that, let's say I need to go back and get rid of that extra spacing. So what I can do is select the paragraphs that I don't want that extra, that 8 point of spacing to come in afterwards. Well, I don't want any spacing after Lurch, and I don't want any spacing after 1313, but I do want the spacing between Shadow and Deer, okay? So very easily and very quickly what I can do is I can select these two paragraphs. I don't even need to select the whole thing, just as long as I am in both of them, just like that, okay? Once I've done that, I can then go up into the paragraph area. This is in the Home tab. Go up in the paragraph area where it's got this, it says just paragraph, and you've got the line and paragraph spacing. You click onto that, and you tell it that you want to remove the spacing after paragraph, right? So you go down to here, you click onto that, that takes care of it just like that. Now I've had people where they'll say, well, I would just assume go up into the styles area here, tell it no spacing, that's the style right here, and therefore every time you type in a paragraph and then hit the enter key, okay, what will happen is it'll go right below it. In other words, it'll do exactly what you see here. All right. The problem is I sort of like the idea of having that spacing, you know, as needed, and it's not a big deal for me to go back and just say, you know what, I'll just select that area that I don't want the spacing on, get rid of it from here, right, and I'm on my way. So I don't see there'd be a big problem there. Now, you go to type in the text now. All right, now this is what I'm going to do is do a bunch of mumbo jumbo for you, and then I'll go back and I'll put some real text in there, but I just want to give you a sense of what you'd have to do. So what you do here is you start typing, all right? I'm a pro at this, you guys, all right? So I got my first job. I told them I could type 300 words a minute, and then I got fired soon after because they found out it didn't make any sense. Now, there's the first paragraph, right? Now watch this, I hit the enter key. Nice spacing. I don't have to go enter. I just have to do one enter and that's it. And the beauty of that extra spacing is that if for some reason you had larger text here than you have on the next paragraph, what happens is when you hit that enter key, you're going to get that extra spacing. You know, if you did like the enter, if you had turned the thing off and didn't have the spacing in there, you'd have to put your own enter to get down here far enough to kind of give yourself a little bit of separation. And the thing is that in that type of situation, you're going to get a lot more space when it's bigger text up here than it is would be smaller one. So the deal is that by having that extra space in there, I can have a larger one here, smaller paragraph here, and it's not going to give me it's not going to give me any extra space in between the two paragraphs, which I think is pretty neat. So now I go ahead, I'll do the second paragraph, just like that. Okay, and then I'll go enter, and then I can, you know, finish it off like that. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so through the magic of video, I now have real text in there. Okay, so that's pretty easy to do there. Then at the end here, then we'd probably want to put the closing, so we could go ahead and just type in, you know, maybe we can just do it from here. We can do like sincerely yours, and then something like that, and then hit the enter key, and you can type in Chip Rose, and that's it. Now, if you think you might need, and I look at that and I say, well, maybe I need extra spacing in here. So what I'll do is I'll go back to the beginning of Sincerely, and I'll just hit the Enter key once and just pull it down there, and there we have it. Okay. Now, if you want to fancy it up a little bit, you can also take your name, okay, down here, and give it a different font. Something like maybe the Mistral font, or you can do brush script, you can do papyrus, that type of thing, and make it kind of look like it's you having signed it, right? And to do that, you select the text here, go back up to here, and let's say, well, one of them could be the brush script. I'm not a real big fan of the brush script. A lot of people like to use it. There it is. And then while it's still selected, I can go ahead and make it bigger using the big A here. Do something like that. So that's one. That looks pretty good. But we've got some other ones as well. Let me just go back and re-highlight that again. And I'll go back in there, and we'll go down to the Mistral. And that's going to be, it's really kind of funny because it's a pretty good font, but it's very, very small, you know, when they're listed here. So there it is, right? So there's Mistral. You click onto that one. Not much different from the brush script, all right? And then there's another one that you can do too, and that's going to be the Papyrus. And that's going to be the one right there. Not much of a signature though, is it? How about this one here? Look at that one, huh? Got great handwriting skills there. So I think maybe we'll go with the Mistral here. I'm gonna go back there again. All right. So anyway, so there it is. All right, maybe a little bit bigger there. All right. Not bad. So the big thing I wanted to show you on this was really just the idea of being able to go in there and, you know, change your formatting a little bit with the margins and what have you. Go in there and type it, and then be able to remove that default 8-point of space after certain lines that you don't want to have that extra spacing in up there. And then, of course, at the bottom here, if you're going to be doing some sort of signature, you can actually have something like that go in there. More of a courtesy than anything. Now, another way that you can get text into your document without having to type it would be actually to dictate it. All right. There's a number of programs out there. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I think maybe Dragon or something like that that they have. But we actually now have a dictation feature built into Word where we can actually dictate our verbiage, you know, what we want as far as text goes. You have this feature also available in Outlook, you know, so you can actually dictate your emails if you wanted to as well. But it's pretty cool little deal here. Let me just show you how it's going to work here. I'm going to go over here to the end of the first paragraph here, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the Enter key, and that's going to give me a new paragraph area there. And that at this point, then I want to maybe dictate and see how this works. Now, of course, this is not a perfected feature. It has its flaws. But overall, if you're just having a really bad typing day, you know, or keyboard day, or you just can't type, whatever, it's a great way of creating this text, you know, by dictating it. Now, if you go up into the Home tab here, at the very end, you'll see Dictate. Now, the bottom part here, when you click onto that, it wants to know what language you're going to be dictating in. Okay, so you've got Chinese, you've got Spanish, English, whatever, French, you name it. So, well, actually, you don't have those. We just have these guys here. So, what you'll do is kind of leave, at least in my case, I'm going to leave it alone because English, United States. Okay, so no problem. Now, at the top here is turning the feature on. So I click onto this, right? Just like that. All right. So now it's ready for me to start typing. See, let me just do this real quick here. When you click online video, you can paste in the embed code for the video you want to add. Oh, it's not doing, so it's not, why is it not recording? Oh. A little bit of a delay there. Let me just backspace this up again here. Look at that, it's like taking off on me. Well, I think maybe you get the idea. So as I'm talking, new paragraph. Hello, how are you today? Period. Let us plan our next vacation to Transylvania. Period. And that's it. So it's pretty kind of an interesting thing though, but again, as you can see, maybe you start talking to somebody and now it's going to start, you know, typing in what you're talking to that person about. But still, it's an interesting feature. When you want to turn it off, all you have to do is just go up here where it says dictate, click on that button, and that turns it off now. So now it's back to normal and you can just type any old way that you want now. Or continue on again. And as you can see here, we've got the some typos and grammatical problems here. So like Transylvania, I can do a right click on that and do Transylvania there. The so here, I got two so's, so I do a right click on the second so and tell it to delete the repeated word. And over here, I've got more of a grammatical problem here, so I can do a right click on that one and go with take. And go from there. So pretty good feature there. Now let's also take into account that maybe once in a while we're going to need to have maybe a foreign type character in there. You know, like if you had like the name Jose, you got like an accented E. If you've got like born, you've got the two dots over the O. You know, things like that. So let's say that Lurch's name isn't just Lurch, it's actually Lurch A, okay, with like an accented E. How would we get that Lurch, how would we get the E, the accented E in there right after Lurch? So we end up with like Lurch A, okay? So what we can do is you go right to the end of where, or right to where you want to put that character, I should say. And then we'll go back up here into the insert, and then you'll see something here called symbols. You click onto that, and we've got symbol, right? We got that. And then of course, if you don't see the character there, you can go to more symbols, and that gives you this little box here. And what you'll do is you'll find the font that would normally have this character in it. We are using Arial in this case, so what we can do is find that font. Okay, so we'll go through here. There's Arial, okay? And then this way, the E that we bring in, this accented E, will kind of match, you know, the rest of the text here, all right? So we kind of go through our list here, and you'll see like the capital letters, and then of course then we'll see the E's in here, and there's our accented E. I can't remember which one. I think it's this one here we want. So we'll click onto that, right? Hit insert, and there you go. There's Lurch A, all right? And we'll go down here to the other Lurch. So we'll click onto that. And we still have this selected, so we'll just click on insert on that one again. And there we go. I think it's the other one, but we'll just do this one for now. So once you're all done, you click onto close, and that's it. All right. Now, of course, you get the red underline in there, and because this is a correct spelling, okay, we want to add this to the dictionary, and that way it won't come up as a misspell. It'll come up as a misspell because it's not in the dictionary. So we add it to the dictionary and no longer a misspell. So we can actually do a right click on it. We can go ahead here and hit add to dictionary. Now, if we instead said ignore all, then it would just ignore it. But then the next time that maybe we would do a letter to Lurch A, okay, we would end up having to get, we'll still get that underline, you know, that red underline there for the spelling. So might as well just add it to the dictionary, right? So I click on the add to dictionary, and there we go. And then of course, the red underline for this one goes away as well. All right. Now, what's kind of interesting about all that is that now that that word is in the dictionary, watch this now, I'll just show you this real quick here. If I was going to be typing, let's say I got another letter that I'm putting together a year from now, right? And I go and I type in lurch, and I type in lurch, lurchy, all right? And hit my space bar. And of course, lurchy isn't in there because I really wanted lurch A, but I didn't have the capability of getting the accented E that quickly. You know, I wasn't even thinking about it, right? But watch this now. I go back to it, do a right click on it, and what does it do? It gives me the word that I added, you know, the name that I added before as one of the suggestions. That's pretty cool, all right? So I can just click onto that, and there I got my lurch A. You have to kind of watch it when you're adding words. You don't want to get too, I don't want to even say what I want to really say here, but I'm just going to tell you, don't add words that you'll regret later. I'll just say that, because you can't get them out of the dictionary without having to reload Microsoft Office, all right? I had one of my students do that. They were just kind of goofing around, and they were just adding stuff that they probably shouldn't have been adding, and it wasn't really, you know, it was some bad stuff, I think, I guess, what it came down to. And he wanted to know how to, you know, get rid of it out of the system. I said, there's no way. The only way you can do it is you just have to reload the whole system. But what was happening was it was getting kind of embarrassing because, you know, those types of things would pop up when he was doing work in front of other people. It got to be a mess. But just kind of keep that in mind, all right? Another special character you can use, or, I mean, there's a lot of special characters out there, but another one would be like maybe a trademark or a registered trademark symbol that you might want to put in there after it, maybe a company name or a product name type of thing. So I'll give you an example here. If I had like Lurch Adams up here, and let's say Lurch was from a company called Ghost Systems, right? But they don't want to spell it the normal way, so it's going to be spelled like this. So it's Ghost Systems, right? Now, what we want to do here is, at the very end of it here, we want to put one of those little registered trademark symbols, right? Now, you could go in to the symbols and find that. In other words, I can go back into here, go to my symbols, right? And I'll see the registered trademark right there. I can just click onto it, and it puts that right on there for me, all right? If you want to make it a little bit smaller, you can kind of select it, and I'm going to use my keyboard to select it. So I'm right where I'm at there. I'm going to hold down my Shift key, hit the left arrow key. Oh, it's not going in there for some reason. Okay. Oh, because I didn't have the other window closed. Right. Anyway, so I get that selected. I can go back into the Home tab, right? And I can go ahead and tell that I want that to be, you know, raised up here a little bit with superscript. So I can click onto that, and there we go. That's pretty cool, right? And then what you can do too is you might want to add Ghost, you know, to the dictionary. So we'll just do a right click on that, and we'll hit add to dictionary, and there we go. All right, so that's another type you can do too. By the way, as well, let me just show you another one here. I'll just do it on the end here. If you had like a trademark that you want to do, like the TM symbol, instead of having to go back into the symbols and do it that way, here's what you can do instead. You go to the end of systems here, do a left parenthesis, type in TM, and a right parenthesis, and it automatically puts it in there for you. See? And we could have done that with the R as well. We could have gone, I'll just go to the end of Adams here. I'll do a left parenthesis, the letter R, and then a right parenthesis, and I get that. See? So, pretty slick stuff there. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it gave you some ideas as to what you can do. Please watch the rest of the videos because we got a lot more to talk about here, a lot more to discuss. But I appreciate you watching. Take care.